In today's chess video, I'm going to show you a beautiful chess study which was composed by famous chess player Richard Reddy. Guys, do you know one thing? Solving this chess study will help you improve mostly your tactical skills as well as a bit of your calculation skills for sure. Guys, you need to watch this video till the end because I also have a really interesting question for you all. Let's see if we can answer it. So, without further ado, let's get started with Ishriya's Hub. Hello, guys. Hope you're awesome. The answer for this chess study, which I'm going to show you right now, only involves two moves. But to find the sequence of moves is a Herculean task, and if you are able to find it, then you are just amazing. Let's dive straight into it. Let's first assess this position. White has an extra pawn on a5. The black king on g2 is attacking the black pawn on h2 and there's an imbalance. White has a knight but black has a bishop. Now let's look at the candidate moves. One of the candidate moves could be king captures h2 but it won't work due to king b5 attacking the a5 pawn, and if something like knight b4, the black king will simply capture the pawn on a5, and this is just an easy draw because this pawn alone cannot win the game. Because if the pawn goes to f4, simply bishop captures f4 will take place and this will be a draw. So now king captures f2. The other two moves which comes to my mind is knight b4 check and knight d4 check. Let's first look at knight b4 check. Here the black king will simply move to b5, attacking the knight on b4 and the pawn on a5. If the white pawn moves to a6, then the black king will simply play king b6, and if king captures h2 takes place, then the black bishop will move to d2 and attack the knight on b4, and if knight d5 check, king captures a6, this is a draw. We have already seen this. So knight b4 check doesn't work. Now let's look at knight d4 check, and this is indeed the first move. This is a check to the king, and the king has some squares to move to, such as b7, c7, d7, d6, d5, and c5. If the king moves to b7, then king captures h2, and this king will help the f2 pawn escort to the 8th rank and promote to a queen. This is just easily winning. Suppose if king a6 takes place, then the white knight can simply move to b3 and defend the pawn on a5. So king b7 doesn't work. If the black king moves to c7, again king captures h2 and this is winning for white. So these two moves doesn't work. If the king moves to d7, again king captures h2 and this is totally winning for white. If the king moves to d6, then the white knight will swoop to the f5 and fork the king and the bishop. You are winning a full bishop. So this is totally winning. If the king moves to d5, then white will play a6 and there is no way for the a6 pawn to be stopped. Here the tricky move is king c5. This is a very tricky move because the king on a c5 is attacking the knight on d4. Here white has to do something about his knight. The knight can't randomly move somewhere. For example, if the knight randomly goes to b3 and gives a check to the king, simply king b5 and this is a draw. And he can't play any natural moves here because that will also be a draw. There's only one move which is winning, and this move will never cross your mind, and you won't believe that this is the best move in this position. It's a stunning move for white, and if you are able to find this, then congratulations, you're closer to chess mastery. And here, the move is the stunning but a subtle king h1. And you guys might wonder, what is the point of king h1? It looks totally absurd, right? Actually, the idea is black is in a total Zugzwang. That means black does not even have a single good move. All moves which black can play is terrible for black. Let me illustrate to you the point. So the king has these much squares to go to. If the king goes to b4, then a6. There's no way of stopping the a6 pawn from promoting to a queen, so this winning. King c4, again the same thing, a6. If king takes d4, again same thing, a6. You're gonna queen. King d5, also the same thing, a6. This knight is controlling the c6 square, so the king can't go to c6 and stop the a6 pawn from promoting to a queen. And if king d6, then you'll play knight f5 check, forking the king and the bishop, and this is also winning. So the king doesn't have a really good move. Let's look at this bishop. The bishop has various squares to move to. But surprisingly, all these squares is terrible. The bishop can't go to any square because black will end up in a devastating fork. For example, if the bishop goes to g7, then knight e6 check, forking the king and the bishop. If bishop f8, then again same thing, knight e6 check, forking the king and the bishop. If the bishop goes to g5, then knight e6 check, forking the king and the bishop. If bishop goes to f4, again knight e6 check, forking the king and the bishop. This is hilarious. If the bishop goes to d2, again knight b3 check, forking the king and the bishop. If the bishop goes to c1, again the same thing, knight b3 check, forking the king and the bishop. And that is why black is in a total zugzwang. Black is somewhat paralyzed, and it's time for the black king to call an ambulance. Zugzwang is actually a tactic. So, if you are able to put your opponent in Zugzwang in your own games, then pat on your back. You should be proud of yourself. Do let me know in the comment section how it worked for you. Okay, now it's query time. But before moving on to today's question, I request you guys to show your support and like this video and subscribe to this channel as it keeps me motivated to make more informative chess videos. So here is the question. This is your puzzle of the day. It is actually white to play and it's mate in 2 for white. White can win this in 2 moves. It's actually a checkmate. And it involves the tactic Zugzwang which we have just seen right now. If you are able to find the answer, then share it in the comments below. I will check each and every one of your comments and I will give you a heart if your answer is correct. That's all for today's video. I'll catch you up in my next video very soon. Let's learn and grow together. Bye bye.